Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Singh Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.
Schools in crisis. Is the quality of education in Illinois on the chopping block because of the political brinkmanship in Springfield? And coming back from the dead, making sure pollinators thrive in the cities. It's been 10 years since we first heard of colony collapse disorder and the loss of millions, if not billions, of bees and other pollinators. A story of survival and what you can do to help. That's still to come. But first, classrooms in the crosshairs. Illinois lawmakers have less than 3 weeks to come into agreement on a state budget before the scheduled June 1st adjournment. It has state agencies uncertain about their future and what faces their clients. That also holds true for more than 800 school districts across the state, including those in Rock Island County. And joining us is the superintendent of East Moline School District, Kristen Humphreys, and Mike Oberhaus, the superintendent of the Rock Island Milan School District. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it. What are you expecting in the next 3 weeks? What are you at least hoping for that the legislature will be able to provide school districts like yours?
We're hoping for a budget. We need a budget. We need the state of Illinois to come through and come together to pass a budget so we can plan and we can let our communities know that we'll be ready to go next school year.
Now, how do you do your budgeting right now? I mean, do you just basically think, okay, I think the state's going to give us the same amount that they gave us the last time, or how do you even plan for the future right now?
That's a good question. We started our budget planning last winter, and then we obviously, if we make any personnel decisions by law, by school code, they have to be made in March. So we've made those decisions, and now we wait to see what the state's going to do. We anticipate generally, we hope for a flat budget. That's not what we need, but we hope for a flat budget, but we don't anticipate a flat budget. We try and predict that less will come in and be prepared for it.
Rock Island, one of the biggest districts in the county. I mean, how do you plan for what you can't plan for? I mean, without a budget and without funding coming from the state, without the state meeting its obligations, how does Rock Island move forward?
So there's much more uncertainty, obviously. And almost 40% of our budget comes from the state of Illinois. And so it's a big component of what we can and cannot do. We have been in the budget process similar to East Moline for a number of months, continually refined, but it's really hard. There's a big what if for our state right now. But in order to have consistency for our students and our community, at this point, we basically said look at flat funding for next year. In our proposal to the board to this point, 86% of our costs are in people.
Right.
And so as Kristen had talked about earlier, under Illinois law, we have to let people know it's 45 days before the end of the school year if we intend to have them back or not. So we have to make some pretty difficult choices. And in this particular year, we said we were going to anticipate flat funding, so we didn't cause tumult with a lot of our employees by saying, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, we're going to release you. So we really need the state to do what they're supposed to do and pass a budget by May 31st.
What's the worst case scenario then for Rock Island and other school districts?
So a year ago we were kind of in a similar situation.
Right.
They adjourned in May 31st without a budget. And we had to make real difficult choices in our schools. We talked for a considerable length with our board and the community about the what if. Mm-hmm. And we agreed, and we sent a letter out to all of our parents in the community basically saying we're going to open school and we're going to stay open until the money's run dry. And we don't know when that's going to be. We predict it's going to be February, March. And if you don't like that scenario, please contact your elected officials and let them know how important this is. We agreed to that because we don't think you can give up a life of a child for a year. If we don't open school, you have a whole generation of kids that lose a year of school. How fair is that to them? And so our decision process is we're going to do everything we can to keep as normal a year for our students as we can and for our parents and our community. Tough choice. We hope we don't have to go through that process again this year, and so we really urge our elected officials to pass a budget.
Well, Superintendent Humphreys, as we were talking about grassroots, getting people involved in their schools, getting people to talk to Springfield and their lawmakers to help out the school districts, what is being done right now? I mean, what kind of lobbying are you able to do, or what kind of grassroots efforts are there going on right now?
You bet. I've been working with a group for over 2 years now to affect change in Springfield and get a funding formula change. Right now, we have a funding model in Illinois that does not work for all kids in the state. And we've been working very hard in Springfield to try and get change and to bring, the biggest thing is just for people to know that how inequitable our funding model is. And you know, Advance Illinois has been a big part of that. And a big group of superintendents have come together as well that have said that how it affects us and how it affects all children in the state of Illinois. We're looking to affect all kids, not just dependent on your zip code and where you live. So, you know, I've been doing a lot of work in Springfield. Recently, Dr. Oberhaus, Dr. Morrow from United Township High School, Superintendent McGuire from Moline, and myself, we put out an op-ed in the newspaper as well. And I've, you know, we've been part of that before, but, you know, we've met with the editorial board at the Dispatch, but some change has to happen. And the one thing I've seen is the one group Springfield seems to move the needle are people in education. It is our families, it is our teachers. We have to step forward and demand change now because we're losing, Dr. Oberhaus talked about he can't imagine not opening schools. We are losing a generation of students every year. We wait and change the funding model in Illinois. Something has to be done, and we're going to keep at it until something is done.
So you see it as more than just an issue of dollars and cents for this school year or the next school year. You want to see a radical change as far as how money is equally distributed to get to the students throughout the state, and that's where evidence-based model funding is coming in, and that's one of the things that you're really pushing for the state to look at.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Oberhaus and I belong to a group that has been pushing for the evidence-based model because what it does is it takes in, let's take out the financial aspect. It treats all kids the way they should be treated. Kids, if you have a special needs, there's a different weighting attached to those kids. If you speak a second language, if you come from concentrated poverty, the evidence-based model accounts for the needs of all children. The money should follow the kids. It shouldn't be a school district just magically gets these dollars because they happen to be there. It should be based on the needs of the individual child, local ability to pay for the school district, which takes into account equalized assessed valuation. But there are 27 different elements, and what it basically does is it funds the child. And that's what we need in the state of Illinois because all children win, and it shouldn't be just dependent on your zip code.
Well, Superintendent Oberhaus, as you well know, there's wealthy districts that pour a lot of money into their schools, and my understanding is, according to studies, is that the less affluent student is actually the one that needs perhaps more money to educate. So it really is kind of a vicious cycle there as far as funding is concerned right now, since so much is based on property taxes and wealthy districts do so much better.
Absolutely, and one of the things we know, Illinois is the worst funded state-funded schools.
It is 50th out of 50 states.
And we know that we talk here local in our community about the $175 and the worthless over in Davenport schools, and we wish them the best in getting that all taken care of. But in Illinois, the disparity is $20,000 from the highest per capita per student to the lowest, and that's outrageous. $20,000 per student, and we need to change that. And just a little historical perspective in state funding. The foundation level, which is $6,119 and has been since I believe 2008, is an arbitrary number. It was created because that's how much money the state believed they could afford to put into education. But if you go back 20 to 25 years in education funding, they constantly put together what's called the Education Funding Advisory Boards. The state puts that together, the state board or the legislature. And back in 2008, the number that came out was over $9,000. But they didn't have that kind of money, so they said we'll fund $6,119. And so what we're really trying to get the word out about is not just to get a budget passed, but also to look at what is the right amount to fund education to give our kids the best possible outcome to be college and career ready. There is a coalition of superintendents throughout the state and school districts. I think it's over 415 right now, starting a grassroots effort called Pass the Illinois Budget. So if you go by our marquee signs in our schools, you'll see that. And there's three components to the Pass the Illinois Budget. The first one is pass the budget by May 31st, so we have certainty about opening our doors and able to open them and keep them open all year long. The second one is the evidence-based funding model. Fund us what is the adequate resources to prepare a student to be college and career ready. And the third one is pay us what you owe us. In our school district, we were blessed. By the end of April, I think we got 1/4 of the mandatory funding that they have to provide to us. We've been told don't expect much more this year, and maybe you'll get it next year. Right now, we're $1.8 million behind in state payments to this point of the year, and that does have an impact to us. I mean, we're able to continue to fund, but it is having an impact on how we run our operations.
Well, Superintendent Humphreys, an outsider might say, you've gotten along just fine over the last year and a half. The kids are still getting educated. There's graduation that's coming up in the coming weeks. I mean, is it really that much of a crisis, or are you guys just crying wolf?
We just recently in March honorably reduced 20 teachers in East Moline. These are amazing people that give back to our students. They provide value to our students, and we don't have areas to cut right now. Our fund balances are incredibly low. We have cash flow issues, so it's a big deal to the students of East Moline. I went to a hearing last year where a school district said if they lose any more state funding, they may have to look at cutting 9th grade girls lacrosse. This is a school district that spends almost $20,000 more per student than East Moline. And in East Moline, we can no longer afford art for our elementary students. We have cut one more music teacher in our elementary because of the school funding and the inadequacies there. East Moline is down to the bare bones. And although our teachers are working as hard as they possibly can to provide our kids an amazing education, our parents and our teachers dream about infinite possibilities for the kids in those classrooms. And unfortunately, we're not able to offer some of the basics like art and music when you've got school districts around the state that are wondering if they can have 9th grade girls lacrosse.
But I do wonder, because I looked at some of the cuts that had been proposed and actually enacted, and it did seem to be some of the areas that you don't want to see cuts, obviously. Art, music,
yes.
Even some science curriculum. I mean, does it worry you where the cuts are occurring? Because some people just say, hey, keep it to reading, writing, and arithmetic, but that's not really the model anymore.
Sure, it's not. It does worry me because now we're cutting into those things. We also cut a lot of reading teachers. Reading is absolutely the most important thing we do, especially in lower elementary school. So yes, it's having a profound impact on the East Moline School District. And if the state doesn't do something by May 31st of this year, we'll lose another year. We'll lose another generation potentially of students that are growing up under a funding model that does not work for all kids.
And what does that say for the state of Illinois?
Well, it tells them to please do what they're supposed to do, do their statesmanship. We are blessed locally with our elected officials that are very supportive of our K-12 schools and education funding. And we've met with them several times to discuss the future and what it looks like for us under different scenarios. And what we hear resonating all the time is we don't need just the superintendents to tell us this. We need the citizens to step up and say, this is important. Do the actions you need to take. Let Michael Madigan's office know. Let Senator Cullerton's office know. Let the governor's office know how important this is to us and that we demand as elected officials to get this completed and do the work they're supposed to do in Springfield. And so we strongly encourage, and we have links on our website to the Pass Illinois Budget to connect with all of those leaders and let them know how important this is to them as citizens. You know, they talk about, I have a lot more leverage to go in and talk to my leadership if I have 1,500 pieces of paper in favor of something than if I only have 5. And that makes a difference in hopefully moving the needle a little bit in where we go in the actions in Springfield moving forward.
And I want to end with mentioning some of the positive things that are going on in education. And in East Moline, you have next Thursday a STEAM technology showcase. More than just STEM now. Now
Yes.
we're going to STEAM. How critically important is that, that we're teaching the technology and the basics to these kids and they're able to showcase it?
We're very excited. It's extremely important. We want to, in East Moline, we're expanding some of our opportunities through the help of individuals like the John Deere Foundation. But we're working, and we have some employees that are doing some amazing things with Lego Robotics, Project Lead the Way. We've got the East Moline Explorers, where it's our tech department, an individual in our tech department works with students on emerging technologies. We've got kids doing some amazing things in our district, and we want to showcase those. So between 5 and 7 at Glenview, we're going to showcase those things, and it's not from 5 to 7. People can drop in any time during that time, and they can see some of the neat, amazing things that our kids are doing. And I want the community, I want East Moline or our business leaders to come check this out, because it's all run by our students, and it just shows some of the amazing things they're doing and we're working on right now. We want, you know, Project Lead the Way is a big deal because and all of our students have that opportunity. We don't want we don't want to miss that next great engineer, that next great idea. So we're working very closely with John Deere to provide this curriculum to all of our students, because we want to make sure we can offer that spark. And without somebody like John Deere, we couldn't do something like that. So it really is a community effort right now, but we're excited about the STEAM Showcase, and I appreciate you bringing that up today.
And Rocky, of course, starting the start of a 3-year strategic plan where you really are trying to make sure that your school district is ready for the future as well.
Absolutely. The strategic plan will guide our decision making in the next 3 years for every one of our students to have individual success. We will guide all of our decision making off of that plan. We want to see increases in our student outcomes and achievement. We want to build better relationships, and we want to improve our operations moving forward. And those are simple things, but they're very complex to implement. We have great programs, and we continue to refine our programs to meet the needs of our students. A little plug for May 25th, we have our Entrepreneurial Showcase. And that program is where teams of students come up with new ideas. We have 9 teams this year that will be presenting. Yeah. And one of them is already filing for a patent for one of their ideas. It's open to the public on May 25th at 6 p.m. in the Rock Island High School auditorium. Encourage people to come, and it's an investment opportunity for those that think there's a good idea on the table.
Shows that the school districts are resilient and the kids are resilient as well, still getting a good education even though the dollars are very scarce. Right. Rock Island Milan School Superintendent Mike Oberhaus, East Moline School District Superintendent Kristen Humphreys, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in. And we're seeing all the signs of spring right now, including more and more great outdoor events in the city. So here's Laura Adams with some options for you and your family if you go out and about.
This is Out and About for May 8th through 14th. Hi, I'm Laura Adams. The World Affairs Council of the Quad Cities invite you to celebrate our diversity with performances, exhibits, and ethnic food at the annual QC World Cultural Festival 2017 on May 9th. There's a tribute to the Beatles rooftop concert coming to the Putnam Museum on May 13th, while the Quad City Wind Ensemble present their concert Heroic Measures on the 13th at Galvin Fine Arts. Comedy Thingy, All You Care to Eat, a podcast and improvisational evening of performances, is coming to the Black Box Theater May 13th. And WVIK and the Quad City Symphony present a signature series concert at the Outing Club. While Big Nate the Musical and Music Man end their runs on May 13th at Circa 21. Elephant's Graveyard, a true tale of a struggling circus and a tiny town in Tennessee, which resulted in the only known lynching of an elephant, is presented at the Village Theater. And the Quad Cities Lip Sync Battle is coming back to the Establishment in Rock Island on May 11th. The comedy MASH opens at Playcrafters Barn Theater in Moline and runs through the 21st. And the African Children's Choir perform at the All Saints Episcopal Church in Moline on the 13th at 7. For more information, visit wqpt.org.
Thank you, Laura. If you visit her website, her bio says it all. Musician Lojo Russo says she may be playing roots music, but she's reaching for the sun all the time. She has a new song online called Fiona's Ocean, but we caught up with her at the River Music Experience where she played another original song. This one's called Where There's Smoke. It's Lojo Russo.
Because it's dark, don't mean it's night. Just because it shines, don't mean that it's light. Just because it's true, don't mean that it's right. No, no. Just because the clouds move and the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. Because it's ice, don't mean it's cold. Just because your bones shake, don't mean that you're old. Just because it's sad, don't mean the story's been told. No, no. Just because clouds move and the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. fire can still burn, even though it's raining down. Yeah. Just because it hurts don't mean it's real. Just because you scream don't mean that you feel. Just because it scars don't mean that it heals, no, no. Just because the clouds move and the rain falls down, fire still burns inside. Just because the clouds move in, say I.
Musician Lojo Russo, who's playing in Galena this weekend and is at Baked Beer and Bread next Saturday in Davenport. It's been a decade since we first heard about the plight of the bee and something called colony collapse disorder. Since that time, bees and other pollinators have died off in unprecedented numbers, creating a real problem in our environment. Could our children, though, be part of the solution to get the pollinator population growing once again? Joining us is Georgia Steer from the Putnam Museum, which is hosting this year's Pollinators Palooza, and one of the presenters at the two-day event next weekend, Ray Wolf. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Why is the Putnam Palooza-ing?
The Putnam is hosting the Pollinators Palooza with the Master Gardeners Guild, and we're very excited about this. We are hoping to educate the community and the children and adults alike about the importance of pollinators.
And it really is kind of interesting because you try to have so many family events and especially get the kids involved, and this really flows nicely into your mandate.
Yeah, exactly. We are a hands-on, minds-on facility. We are a science center. So this is very important to us, and I think we really enjoy working with the Master Gardeners as well. We have a lot of different programs, but this in particular is very special to us.
Well, Ray, we know you so well as a professional meteorologist and now, you know, Master Gardener as well as bee protector and butterfly enthusiast.
Right. Well, one thing I found when you work inside today and you're behind all the computers, it's great to get home and get outdoors, work in the yard, or get out in nature, out to Scott County Park or areas around the region here and just enjoy the outdoors.
Well, we were talking about like 10 years ago, a decade ago, seeing bees and seeing butterflies was so common, and then you do kind of notice that you don't see them at all anymore.
Right, and that loss has become quite dramatic in the last decade. Historically, there have been colony losses, but the rate has well exceeded in the last decade what we've seen before.
Well, we've seen winter kills that used to be like 10, 15, maybe a little more than that % of the colony. Now we're seeing it sometimes 30 to 40% kill off over the winter season.
Right, and occasionally even more. And the interesting thing is the cause is quite complex and they're still not 100% sure of it. Mm-hmm. There are a number of stressors on the bees, and they actually think that a combination of various things, both related to the environment and to humans' impact on the environment, are interacting together to cause those losses.
What's your presentation going to be about? Because as we know, we have an awful lot to do as far as the impact on the environment is concerned, and what we do in our yards can help other yards as well as farm fields and elsewhere.
Right. I'm going to actually have two presentations. The first one's going to be on butterflies that we see here in the Quad Cities, so that you can actually go in the yard and appreciate what you see all around you. The second presentation is going to be on the kinds of plants that butterflies and the larvae like. It's interesting that butterflies are very specific in their plant requirements. We brought the butterfly weed here, somewhat misnamed because it's actually quite a beautiful plant, but it's favored by the monarch butterflies, and it will lay the eggs on that plant and other milkweed species, and the larvae eat those, and then the life cycle continues.
And what do monarchs actually bring to us?
Well, certainly an aesthetic out in the yard.
Absolutely.
they're part of the food chain for birds and whatnot, and losing any part of that sort of diminishes the overall ecology.
You get a domino effect no matter what.
Right.
Palooza is a 2-day event. There's an awful lot, other than the presentations that are going on at the Putnam, to try to get the kids, like you said, hands-on and actively involved.
Yeah, I believe the Davenport Library will be there and issuing library cards for the children. Plenty of literature and hands-on activities, various lectures, and we will be giving away plants to the children as well.
I believe you have a movie as well, do you not?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
you,
do.
You have
and
presentations
the
in the theater, exactly.
Exactly, yep.
So why is it that you think that you're going to get entire families to come? Why is it important that not only that you get the kids, but you also get some of the adults to show up as well?
Yeah, we want this to be a family event, an educational event. Reach out to everybody to really encourage and promote and just make everyone aware of how important this is.
And Ray, let's be honest, I mean, we have been looking at this as a devastating part of our ecology for the last 10 years. Are there any positive signs? I mean, people have been talking about it, kids have been involved, Nahat Marsh has been doing promotions and programs on it as well. Are we seeing any improvement?
I think if there is a bright spot, it's through that effort to raise awareness, and through experiences like the Palooza, which will be shared between adults and children, will continue to increase that awareness. And who knows, science education for young kids especially, that's where you link them into science potentially as a career. And we might be teaching the future scientist who comes up with the solution to a disorder like this. In terms of what's going on with the bee colonies, we're kind of at steady state. We're not really seeing any improvement. The last federal administration put some extra money into research to help try and address the problem, but other than that, unfortunately, not too much on the positive side.
And this is really a worldwide problem too, is it not? It's not just the United States.
It is a global problem. They've seen collapses like this in Europe and South America and elsewhere.
Georgia Steer with the Putnam Museum. Ray Wolf, one of the presenters is a much easier way to say, presenters at the Pollinator Palooza. So many P's that I have to pronounce right now, going on next weekend, May 20th and the 21st, Saturday and Sunday at the Putnam. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Well, WQPT is doing its part to support the military men and women in the cities who are serving our nation. We call it Embracing the Military. And before you head to the Putnam on Saturday, you might want to take part in the 2017 America's Armed Forces Kids Run. It's coming up May 20th. This is open to the public. There's a 2-mile run for kids 9 to 13 years old, a 1-mile run for kids from 7 to 8, and a half-mile run for 5 and 6-year-olds, plus a 100-yard dash. That should be fun to see. It's 3 and 4-year-olds. The races start at 9. There's also a family fun zone set up after the races. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.